In this video, we're going to walk through a benchmark for a common assessment using writing. This example is using 5th grade. Right here, we have drafted out a prompt where we have a secure writing assessment proctor. And so in this prompt, you can see it's pretty strict how it can't give answers, it shouldn't give hints. So everything should be kind of, secure in this environment. Here is the space with that prompt in it. So again, we can come in and make any edits if you're like, oh, I don't like this feel of this. Right here, if I go ahead and launch this space, you can see that I have already logged in as a student. This is the view that the teachers would see. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this space code and I'm going to log in as a student. As a teacher, I have mission control where I can see all of my participants. I can see how they're doing, a quick headline. I can also see insights over here. And if I click, I can see how every single student has responded in this space. So right here is the student side. Students would either go to Google Classroom, have a link, and they'll join this space where they're going to share. We can take out this question if we don't need who's your teacher and what period are you in. They're then going to be given the writing prompt. They can also say see text and it will provide the text for them. Okay, we might want that on paper. So again, we can take this out of the prompt if we want to. From there, students start typing and they insert their essay. Again, the teacher can use mission control to watch and see how the students are performing in that space as the teacher or as the students are working in that space. What's really cool about this space is it doesn't give any feedback. So again, it's very assessment-like. And so the next day, I could have my students enter in this space. So maybe I come in as a teacher and I pause or I end the space because I don't want my students working on this at home. I can pause it, but students can still see their responses. And so what I'm able to do then is I'm going to go ahead and resume this as I can come in here and I can copy this. And students can then, in day 2, they can get feedback. So maybe you don't want them to have feedback during that common assessment range. We don't have to allow them to have feedback. But right here is where students can come into this space. They can paste in their feedback. So they paste in their essay, and then they get feedback and a score from the AI. So I'd be curious to see how this relates to the Kentucky scoring. So if you want to kind of check that out. And then also down here, it has a reflection question for them on just what's one way that they could make their evidence even stronger. So again, we can update this prompt to however we might need to again, give that students the feedback that they need and deserve. And I didn't know if we wanted that in one space or break it out into separate spaces. So that way, students don't get feedback and then they copy this and paste it over to this space. And so teachers then would need to go to the first space, so this space where it's just the common assessment, and they would gather all of this data. So I'm going to go to these 3 dots and I can click download CSV file. What this CSV file looks like is it has the messages that the space had with the student. So right here, I don't know if I can bring it over. It has just like the messages. I can see, the date, a summary, any insights from that space. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to schoolai.com. And this again would be for the teacher. And as the teacher, I would come in and I would hit my space. Okay. If you're using assistance, it's also right here where it says I'm dot. So I'm going to click on dot. I'm going to attach that file. So I can search for that CSV file on my computer. I believe it's this one. And then I can hit open and I can attach it. Okay. From here, what I also want to do is I have that CSV file from the School AI chatbot. I also want to come in my computer, I want to add in this rubric. So I also want to add in this rubric. If you want to, you can also add in the prompt if you think it would be helpful, but these are the 2 documents that I think we for sure need to have added. From here, teachers or coaches or instructional leaders can come in and we're able to kind of ask this space a couple different things. I can come in and I can say, I want them to, analyze this common assessment data. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my microphone on just so you can hear me thinking out loud. I want you to take this data from a School AI space and use the message column. You're going to sort through 5th grade students' opinion writing, and I want you to take their essays that they wrote, and I want you to use the rubric that I've also attached, and I want you to provide feedback and a score for each of the different levels on that rubric. Make this into a document. So again, this is step 1, where I'm able to take all of my students' scores, and I can again have every single one of these students that entered this space, and it's going to create a document giving me feedback as a teacher. And so then I can kind of see how my students are performing at an individual level. Here we can see we have student 1, Cheska. I can see how she scored proficient, 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 the feedback. Teachers could export this to Google Classroom, a Google Doc. They can cut it out if they wanted to. They can add page breaks if they add it into a Google Doc. However they want to share this with their students, they're able to do that. After we have our students going through here, I can then tell the AI that now I want to grab those averages. So for those, I want, to see the score, and I want to see like kind of the scale of that. And so I can come in and I maybe want to have a chart, right? So I want to say, create the averages for my class. And then I'm going to paste this little chart right there. And I want to see how all of my students did within this activity. And then there it goes. It creates the clarity and the support, sourcing, organization that was on the other spreadsheet that shows that data. And so then I could copy this over to a spreadsheet. I could ask it to put in a document and then export it like we did over here. But this again is going to be really, really helpful for me. There's also over here little clips. And so if teachers want to then go into more, they're able to come in here and I can create a whole class summary of my data, right? And I can ask Dot additional questions like, what next steps should I teach my students? And we can have conversations during our PLCs where I'm able to chat with my team, my other teachers, and we can kind of see, oh, students really need help with thesis, right? Students might need some help here or under organization. I could ask it, group my students into small groups, right? And so now we're able to have that instructional impact with using Dot to really help us guide that instruction to really see where we need to go. So right here we can see, Heidi and Stephanie might be a really good partner. Cheska and Stephanie here, Stephanie and Stephanie. And then I can see the rationale behind it as well. I can say, create a small group lesson plan to review writing. And again, I'm going to get all of those instructional supports given to me as teachers come in and ask for that data, ask for that feedback. And again, I can kind of use that to really see how my students are doing and what next steps I need to do in order to support them.